Content warning. This podcast contains bones, blood, smut, and swear words.
Before we get into the good shit this week, we wanted to remind you that we have a Patreon. For just $1 or $2 an episode, you get extended games, brand new content, access to our notes and murder boards, and much more. So, if you would like to be a part of John's campaign to bring back the Roman Empire with Vin Diesel at its head, you can head to patreon.com/frontline5th or follow the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to that sweet, sweet Bone Zone action.
Act 1! Welcome, penitents! Hello and welcome to the Frontline 5th, a Locked Tomb podcast where a couple of delightfully naive teacher's aides explore the Locked Tomb series for the first time, while a couple of dried-out bone witches cackle over how little they really know. We're currently reading Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and this week we've just been shot, again! While reading chapters 17, 18, and John 5:1. I'm your host, Hannah, and while I've never been shot, I'm going to find some wood to knock on here, I frequently insist on making disaster plans that I almost immediately forget about. So this week, instead of a deep personal question, I would like to ask Marie, brilliant bone witch, and Brooke and John, little naive cuties, to make a plan with me and the angel. So when shit hits the fan, where are Frontline 5th regrouping?
My mom's house.
I completely agree. I was going to say that.
I was going to say,
Okay.
obviously,
We're on the same
our totally not a cult compound somewhere in Montana.
My mom's house.
Oh, well, I mean, we're close
Close
enough.
to
That's-
Montana.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much.
All right, Marie's mom's house. We'll start there. Are there any supplies we need to be bringing with us? If somebody doesn't arrive by a certain time, are we sending out a rescue party, or are we just like 3 hosts good enough?
Oh,
3 hosts good enough, sorry.
Right?
Yep, 3 hosts
Yeah,
good enough.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I
You
think
got to
so.
cut your losses.
You can literally have a meal at my mom's house that is like grown on the land, like depending
Yeah,
on the
it's
season.
pretty
Okay.
self-sustaining,
So we
right?
don't need to bring
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, we don't have to bring shit. She has a well, like with a hand pump.
My God.
They have kerosene
we really
lamps.
are set to go. I thought this was going to be like a deep and complex question, but we got
They got
nothing.
wood burning stoves.
It's that straightforward.
I've
we just
I've
leave.
said
We just
this
meet up at your
before on
mom's.
this podcast. I'll say it again. I have zero desire to live in a post-apocalyptic world. If shit really does hit
3
the fan and the world
hosts,
is
we're
ending,
fine.
you guys are finding a
Knowing
fourth
you.
token white guy, all right?
Okay. All right. Well, we don't have to go running for the woods just yet. But I think we can all agree that things have fully gotten out of control in these chapters. So what about these chapters left you reeling? And have you recovered?
No. I mean, okay. High-level overview of these chapters. Pyrrha is still MIA after 3 very long chapters. Mervwing shoots Nona and Camilla. Pash shoots Nona. Hot Sauce shoots Nona. And God gets a nuke.
The perfect recap.
Yeah. And this surprised you?
Yep.
Do you like how like we keep waiting? We're like, yeah, it's just a day in the life, guys. It's just a day in the life. It's just a day in the life.
I think yesterday in this book, the first 3 days were boring as shit. We're on day
now
4
we're on
now,
day
right?
4.
48 hours before the tube opens. Good luck, everybody.
What you got, John?
You rat bastards. We have had bad chapter breaks before. We had Jean-Marie getting impaled by the bone
that was
monster
really
in the
bad.
liquor study.
Holy shit.
We
Yeah.
had Gideon
memorable.
throwing herself on the fence and impaling herself.
Memorable.
We had Augustine dropping the whole Mithraeum into the river.
Huh.
Two out of 3 of the worst were actually just impalings, but this was
It's dramatic.
by far the worst by a
think
long
so?
shot.
Do you know why? It's because it's such a devastating betrayal for Hot Sauce to do that. You know, that hurts your heart.
You're
Who
out
gives
of
a
the
shit
gang.
about Augustine dunking the Mithraeum into the river?
In one chapter, they're all laughing. They're in a puddle of giggles. And then the next chapter, you're out of the gang.
Yeah. And God gets a pocket newt. So right now, I hate both of you. And I cannot wait to rain unholy vengeance upon you in retribution when Brooke and I are running the show next season.
Okay,
How
what
long
I'm
you've
hearing,
been talking about nuclear apocalypse?
yeah, for real. well. You should feel
this book.
justified. Vindication.
It's kind of funny.
I'm just wondering if like John's answer will change next season vis-a-vis an apocalypse and whether or not he wants to live through it. Once he's in the driver's seat, is he going to have so much joy in his life that he's like, yes, we'll meet up at Marie's mom's house because I get to torture people.
We give you purpose in life, John. My answer to this question of what left me reeling and have I recovered is Cam and Pal's messages back and forth, and I will never recover from this conversation.
Really cute.
It is, and it's devastating, and there's a lot there. The thing that I don't know why I find it as charming as I do, and I think about it as often as I do, but I love that Kevin gets so, like, his eyes get so big and he doesn't know what to do that he just says his own name. They're like, I swear. And he's like, Kevin. And then they all say Kevin, and it's something that I want in my life. I don't know.
He turns into a Pokemon.
I also love that moment he does. I love that moment is like preceded by him, like, Nona couldn't hug him, so she puts her hand down and he slips his hand into her hand to like hold her hand, and she's like, it was just as sticky as I thought it was gonna be.
Kids are always sticky.
Kevin. All right. Well, with that, I have some memes here that are just not memes. However, I had to put them. So, what was so fucking urgent? I can't not relate to Letterkenny. Like, there's no way for me not to make what was so fucking urgent about Letterkenny, but I literally don't know if it came out in order. So I just want you to know that's
I think
there.
so. Letterkenny's got to be 10 years old now. Yeah, it came out in 2016.
God, how fucking old am I?
Holy fuck, bud. What was so fucking urgent?
This is Nona. Nona came out in 2022, so that's writing time, man. I'm sure she was watching Letterkenny.
She was definitely watching Letterkenny. All right, we're going to assume that was a direct reference.
I love
I'm too old for this. Feels that it just has to be. And then there is literally a moment where Nona tells Hot Sauce very cleverly, you think it did, but it didn't. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't not think about John's game memes that he taught us on Patreon.
But you don't.
You think you do, but you don't. So yeah, there's that. I'm going to turn us right over to Marie for Kiwi Corner. What do we got this week?
So there's 3 kind of early on. There's pottle of curds is what they're eating for breakfast. From context, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is just yogurt, unless they're eating cottage cheese for breakfast, which they might be. But I did learn that a pottle is a Kiwi term for like a small like food cup. So you'll say like, oh, like a pottle of something, like, and you can get it like
petite bottle.
Yes, but it's literally like those little like little word. Like, you know, like a cup container. You'd call it a pottle. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, classic.
That makes sense with like individually sized yogurt would be like a pottle of yogurt.
It's a pottle.
You know, of Chobani.
There's the term titch, where I don't remember which one of the gang says like, they wouldn't beat Nona. She's such a titch. It's just like a little kid.
This was weird for me because I highlighted it in my ebook, and it said it was a small piece of tasty food, and I thought it was like the same slang as for us as when we say someone's a snack, because it was also talking about prostitutes, and and I got a little off base. I was confused.
I don't think that's mean. I think it means like little kids sometimes are so cute you just want to nom, 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 nom. It's just such a titch. Anyway, and then it is beautiful Ruby who says, you know, he's annoyed with his mom, and he's like, we used to live in a home and now we live in a tip, and that's a dumpster.
Oh, didn't know that for sure. Couldn't even get that from context.
Thanks,
all right.
Marie.
I think we all learned. This was a quick intro, but folks, that's because there's really a lot to get to. These chapters were so fucking psychotic. So real quick, Marie and I are going to go hide in the generator room while Brooke and John kick some ass off screen in Nona the Ninth, episode 11, The Worst Day of School Ever. Act 2, You're Out of the Gang.
This section of Frontline 5th is safe for anyone who hasn't read past John 5:1 in Nona the Ninth.
Let's recap. Chapter 17. Seedling? Calla lily? I have thoughts. Either one would fit with
Oh, I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
What am I trying to say? Resurrection.
Rebirth.
There we go.
Resurrection. Okay, I don't hate that. That's good.
Hold on, I wanna look at it and make my own opinion.
Yeah, I didn't even know what to call this one at all.
What'd you say you think it is?
Either a seedling or a calla lily.
Okay.
I too am
looking
at it.
qualified
I
to give
got-
my opinion on
I
this.
got
Resurrection.
no
That's the theme.
instructions.
Thanks. Where is Pyrrha? Cam and Pal's messages. The gang swears an oath.
Why would it be related to resurrection?
You're right. That would make more sense in the next one where she gets shot and comes
Okay,
back.
I don't know. Okay, you lawyers. It's fine.
Thank you for pointing it out, though. I didn't notice, and that's weird.
Chapter 18. 8th House Skull. For some reason. Palamedes and the Angel. The Angel makes a call. Hot Sauce draws her gun.
Yeah, why the 8th house?
I genuinely don't know.
The river. Nope, that. Okay, these are weird ones. File that away for ambiguous clues.
Yeah. At some point, Brooke, we need to go murder boarding about John's chapters, and we got to figure out that. That's got to be some type of code or something, right?
I feel like it's all fitting into what we already thought so far, so.
I have genuinely been impressed that you guys have not noticed the John chapter numbers. But I did not notice the John chapter numbers.
What,
So,
that they're. Oh, yeah, I don't know their order.
I don't know what they mean.
The significance of the numbers.
I mean,
we actually, very first one, we looked it up, right?
Yeah.
Like when we first read the first one live, we looked it up and we've
been inconsistent about it.
We haven't done it since, yeah. Anyway, shall we?
These chapters were a doozy. The situation stands thus. Nona came home last night, dropped off by the Angel and her bodyguard after the broadcast to find Cam all alone. Pyrrha is missing and has been missing for hours. No one explicitly asks Nona about the broadcast, so she basically just doesn't tell them anything about it. It's morning now, and there's no one to record her dream because Camilla's in the kitchen making breakfast, which is what Pyrrha normally does. Cam pops back in long enough to tell Nona to just record anything she remembers. But everything's so kind of chaotic in Nona's brain right now that she immediately forgets the instructions on which buttons to push, so she does exactly what I would have done, which is to jab buttons at random. And as a result, she ends up listening to some of these little pieces of recorded conversation back and forth between Camilla and Palamedes. I kind of have some of the pieces of the conversation here. Part of the conversation seems to be maybe about BOE's goals regarding lictors. They want her to be Harrowhark Warden. Yes, but the question we need to ask is why? They hate zombie wizards so much more than zombie thralls, to wit Judith Dudros. Why do they want a lictor on tap? To remove the RB? Not sure. Get the feeling that the RB is more a crimp in their plans than the plan itself. At first, I thought they were keeping Dudros alive to see if they could make a lictor out of her instead, but I'm not so sure. I think I buy Corona's story that she's the getaway vehicle, put crudely. But it's Harrowhark they want, or at least it's Harrow that we suffer wants. I don't think Mervwing and the Hopers want Harrow at all, or at least they're not holding out for her. Everything comes back to the tomb, Cam.
What? That little remark about the tomb at the end never makes sense to me every time I've read through this.
This is also so early on in the process, right? Because I think Cam comes in and tells her that this is when she was 2 months old. So this information that she's listening to is at least, I think, 4, 5, 6 months, 4 months
It
old?
may actually be out of date.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We this was, I guess, probably very early on in their relationship.
Yeah, but you think it's just some random exchange of text versus little hints about what's going on?
No, I mean, I wonder if the getaway vehicle is just in case the house comes back and retakes the planet, BOE
The
needs
whole
to get
Staley
away.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. That fits in with what we know, but everything comes back to the tomb, Cam, after he's talking about, I guess, Nona's interactions with Blood of Eden.
I think
don't get
this
it.
conversation is interesting for two things. One, that Pal and Cam, which are some of the smartest characters we know, are also confused about exactly what the goals and what's going on and where they lie in these power machinations and what the point is. But they also know something about the tomb, which I don't think would be obvious.
Yeah, that's true.
That they should know. It's almost for us, we're yeah, of course, everybody knows about the tomb because we know about the tomb, because we've been listening about the tomb and we know about Gideon and the interaction and all of that. But this is a hint that maybe Pyrrha has given information or like something. Like, where do they have the information to like start putting these pieces together? Like, how would Cam and Pal know about the tomb?
Pyrrha would know, though, so if she had shared this information, this could be amusing. Interesting.
So I find that interesting that it's like Cam and Pal are starting to wonder about this, too, of like, what is the purpose? What's going on? What does this actually mean? Maybe it's more than just a cult thing.
I would argue that it also could actually be the inverse where, so they're saying that they want Harrow and everything comes back to the tomb, but Harrow is not a person who can actually open the tomb. Right? It's about Gideon's blood.
But
or
they
about Gideon's
know that
connection to
Harrow
Jod.
has opened the tomb. Hasn't Harrow told them that in Gideon the Ninth? Didn't she tell them this? No, she didn't.
No.
I don't think she told
Absolutely
them.
not.
Ever told
I
Jod.
think
Only
the
told
only
God.
person she's told is God. Yeah. So it's also possible they like misunderstand or are under the apprehension that the tomb keepers can open the tomb, or that BOE thinks that. But definitely BOE has information about the tomb, one, and Cam and Pal have information about the tomb. And I don't know how this all relates to like Nona necessarily. But it's an interesting conversation that I don't understand yet. So a different part of the conversation that's quite beautiful is about kind of love and pain and loss. So Palamedes cannot bear that he's eating Camilla's life. He's causing her pain. He's putting her in danger. And he says all these things, and Cam actually responds, "I'd carry you with me either way. I've carried you, Warden, and I've carried your memory. I'd rather carry you." And he asks, what about carrying nothing? What about Camilla Hecht, the independent entity, free to live her life? And she says, love and freedom don't coexist, Warden.
Just everybody's big eyes.
Were you going to leave in the 15-second pause that
Maybe.
followed that as we all wept? I think this is an interesting distinction, this thing of I'd carry you with me. Either I get to sit there carrying your memory and holding you all the time, being burdened by you, but I don't get to have you. Or I can be burdened with you, but I actually still get this relationship with you. It's an interesting take on baggage as a concept.
And codependence, which is your usual argument. That codependence is a form of lack of freedom.
Well, yeah, I also think
I think
like
she's
this
right,
idea
though.
as well.
Love and freedom
That
don't
you can't
coexist.
love someone. Yeah, exactly. You definitionally end up having restrictions on your life anytime you care about anybody, even the littlest amount, right? Even just being civil to someone is not necessarily just doing whatever the fuck you want. And when it comes to something like love and responsibility, which is something that I think recurrently comes up in this book in particular.
Exercises this impeccably is Vin Diesel in every movie.
So, Palamedes also asks.
He would be free
If
to
it's
just
not
head off and
clear.
do what he wanted, except there's just this one person he got close to. And like, what the heck, man?
Oh my God, I really can't wait for us to do Furious 7. Okay. Palamedes also asks, have you thought about what it means if Nona is actually a completed merger, a successful soul gestalt? And Cam
Lucky
says,
them.
lucky them.
Is it? I don't know
That's
what
how
they...
Cam
Is it
feels.
lucky or is it a...
I guess I don't understand what the successful soul gestalt actually looks like in their eyes.
It isn't Harrow and it isn't Gideon.
That's what I thought. So why is that? I guess is it
It is
it
a
the
fusion.
idea that you're lucky to not necessarily know that you're missing one or the other because you're something different? That's what
you've
Gestalt
become
is, right?
something that's
Something is-
fundamentally together. Gestalt is the multiple pieces coming together to form a whole.
I think there's like a comment in here too about like always they're never actually even though Cam isn't just carrying his memory, she's carrying him, that there's still the tragedy of like he says, you know, I wish I could see you, and she's like, look in the mirror, and he's like, it's not you, and
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
she's mourning like, I wish I could hear you, like I wish like you weren't always minutes away. So I think like even though this for them is better than him being dead and gone, it's
They're
They're
still
still
awful.
divided by an infinite chasm. They are permanently long distance by a matter of seconds, right? Yeah. Nona is embarrassed. She just like, you know, she's jamming buttons. She hears a little bit of her own self at 2 months when she could barely speak. And when she goes out to breakfast, Cam explains that they're going to go out looking for Pyrrha because Pyrrha has been gone for 24 hours now.
Psych! No, we're not.
That's the plan. The plan is to go out and look for Pyrrha.
I have a little detour, okay?
I reread these chapters in advance of recording this, and I just got to this, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what we were supposed to be doing before everything went off the rails.
Oops. She's like, we did have a plan. I forgot about that. Pyrrha's been gone for 24 hours, and either she has had an accident or she went somewhere deliberately, but it had to have been on a sudden whim. And you know this was not a plan that Pyrrha made because she left her guns behind. Her guns are still in the apartment. This is very, very worrying. They have to go find her. However, Nona explains that she has a responsibility to go and check in at the school. She's a teacher's aide. She has to make sure everything is okay. And she has to talk to the angel and thank her for bringing Nona home last night. So Camilla actually agrees. She says, we can go, we can stop by the school, but this is the end of school for Nona. Like, this is going to be the last time we ever see it. And Nona says, I loved them, though. And Camilla goes, I know. Cam goes in to get dressed. They're going to, head out to the school and then go find Pyrrha. And Nona takes a moment to peel back some of the, coating on the windows and look up at the blue orb in the sky and ask it if it knows where Pyrrha is. But it just lows sadly like a cow. And Nona tells it, that's all right. Don't do anything weird, okay? I'm having enough trouble right now.
More cow stuff.
More cow.
More cow stuff.
What we need here is more cowbell.
When they get to school.
Thank you.
That's a meme that I feel like, Tamsin should include. We may need to send her a list of things that she could.
Hey, you've missed your opportunities. Work it in as you can. It's all we request.
Yeah, exactly. Something about Arby's for sure. Okay.
For certain.
So when they get to school, Nona is absolutely delighted to find Honesty, Beautiful Ruby, and Kevin there. And they're all joined shortly by the angel, who comes in with both Noodle and Hot Sauce, who slept over at the Angels. It turns out the other teacher, the nice teacher, Lady Jolie, isn't coming in at all. Today's going to be the last day of school. And the angel is going to use it to teach them how to stay out of trouble. So they all go upstairs, Camilla included. Everybody sits down at their various desks. Cam sits down in the back. The angel has some things to say. And Cam sits down in the back, but she's so still and so focused that Nona doubts right away that it is Camilla. They have this interesting kind of conversation. I mean, so you brought up the conversation that they're having about Beautiful Ruby's mom, who he's now calling by her name because she's disappointing him and letting the side down, basically.
She's like, capitulate to whatever the necromancers want and maybe things will be fine. Like, don't cause trouble, just
let's get through
cooperate.
This. Mm-hmm.
Get through this.
God, I think it's such an interesting conversation and such a complicated question that the angel answers with a lot of nuance here. Basically says, judge people by what they do, not what they say. And also says that it's a gift to be strong and that it's hard when you have a responsibility for other people. She also tells them that if they think someone is a necromancer, they should not fight. They should fucking run. The angel explains a little bit about her own background. She was born on Lemuria, and when the 9 houses flipped the planet, things went from bad to horrifying incredibly quickly. When the sea went anaerobic, animals seemed to mutate all at once, and things were literally crawling out of the sea. The houses pulled support, and the populace had to use whatever weapons they could find on the mutants, and eventually on each other, and then eventually on the house forces when they came back. And when the house forces eventually won, everyone was resettled. So, it's this incredibly traumatic background that the angel has in terms of understanding what it's like, both the power that the houses have, what it looks like when necromancers take over and eventually win, and also some of the horrors that you get visited kind of in your own life, because the angel was a veterinarian, a zoo director.
Ah, right. Little wins here for recognizing the bipeds comment.
Arboreal.
There are a couple of things as you go back where you're like, they keep saying she's a doctor, but she keeps being like, I don't really work on bipeds. Yeah, exactly. Horrifyingly, however, when the planet was flipped, they literally had to slaughter all of the animals in the zoo. That was horrible, says the angel. Sometimes you step in to make sure someone won't suffer.
Yeah, I mean, this all these conversations, especially with the children, I mean, this is like classic idealism, realism arguments of, the second you're faced with having to make the choice yourself. It's a lot easier to say than do, which is what she says, judge people by what they do, not what they say.
Yep.
And also that the suggestion here is that it's complicated, right? The angel tells them that people in the street who just want a resettlement, the people who aren't willing to fight back, beautiful Ruby's mom, they're not your enemies. And also, if you think in black and white, your brain can't be agile. And I really appreciate that. The angel's trying to fucking make these children understand about the concept of nuance and the concept of context.
I don't think you really can.
In the middle of a war zone.
They're children. They don't get nuance.
But it's a gift to try. I think it's a really big thing to be teaching them to look out for one another, to remember who the enemy is. You know, the enemy is the person trying to shoot you and keep you down. It's not the people around you trying to react in the best way they can.
Yeah.
In any case, it's disaster, preparedness moment. So the angel pulls out a map. Nona doesn't recognize it at first. She's like, it's a piece of wax paper. I don't know what you want from me. And she has them mark on the map the areas that are going to be dangerous, the places you should not go once shit hits the fan, like the graveyard, because people will assume that necromancers will go there and they're going to just shoot anyone in the area. And the areas that are safe, like Southgate, which is a low priority target from bombardment, and where there's a water pump and a way out of town.
Nona knows all this and she just repeats it like by rote. And I think that the angel just kind of looks sideways at Cam and is like, interesting people, your folks.
My favorite is one of the kids goes, "What's a bombardment?" And Nona's like, "No idea."
Proudly.
And then Hot Sauce shows them the watchtower that she's picked out to be a hideout for them outside of the city gates, where they can go if they need to get out of the city. She tells them, "We'll be together when we need each other. We have a place to go. There's stuff there. Bring your families. I'll look after you," says the 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
tragic.
The lights go out. It seems like the power to the city maybe has been cut. There's a generator that kicks back on, but it's time to pack up the school for good. Everybody stacks the chairs. They start cleaning out the fridge. And in the back of the classroom, Camilla's hunched over a piece of paper, writing furiously. Nona goes around and takes down all the drawings that they made yesterday. And the angel's looking through the drawings, which are of Noodle. They're the ones they made yesterday, and stops dead when she sees the one that Nona has done.
Nona described it when she was drawing it of drawing an animal based off of what, best principles or something?
Best principles. That's exactly right. It's the animal that Nona made up. But, there's not really time to talk about this. Everybody goes downstairs, get ready to go. But before they all disperse, Hot Sauce has them all put their hands together and swear an oath. "We swear to protect each other and die for each other. We are loyal to each other forever. Any zombies we kill for each other, and we'll say this is for the others."
Oh, sorry.
Brooke.
I got distracted by elephants. Try it again. I swear.
I swear.
Wait.
I swear.
Let's try this again.
Nope, we did it. It's fine.
All right. So actually, the last moment before they're truly going to leave, Bored in the Morning shows up. It's the last member of the gang, and they pledge all over again. This time saying Kevin, and Kevin says, "Don't make fun of Kevin." and Born and Ruby and Honesty and Kevin all just kind of go off happy. When Nona and Hot Sauce get back upstairs, the angel sends Hot Sauce to go turn off the generator, and she does that basically as a ploy to get her out of the room because she needs to speak to Nona and Cam alone. Cam gets up and approaches her and actually trips as she's approaching, catches herself on the angel. It's really just been that kind of day. The angel needs to know more about this drawing. She wants to know how Nona made this animal drawing. Nona's
with
like,
my hands.
"With my hands?" And then Nona explains she made it up. But it works, I promise you. So from the description, I think that Nona may have drawn an elephant. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the big ears, the nose where you can't see the mouth.
Yeah.
It's big.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And she says some interesting things. She's like, it used to live in a river, but
Then
it was
it got
cold, so it
cold
had to
and
get
had to get
big.
big. Yeah.
That's what I was looking up. Is that the sort of evolutionary trajectory of the least common ancestors for most recent common ancestors?
I was wondering about this too, and I don't know, but
So
it makes sense for mammoths.
I looked it up, and yes.
And also volume versus surface area in cold environments for prioritizing larger creatures.
So it makes sense with early, elephantine creatures. All right, so the angel has actually seen this creature before. She's seen pictures of this animal before. And that's because she was a special zoology major. And she was political. She would go and attend underground archaeology talks. That's where she saw this picture.
That's so
edgy. It's a
edgy.
cradle creature.
Right.
I find this fucking fascinating.
Love.
I actually find this completely fascinating, the idea that you would have to go underground to have access to these academic talks, that it is something that is like so forbidden and so dangerous.
Yeah, we
to
might
the
get there in the
houses.
near future.
We are approaching that. I agree. Anyone who needs to learn about Evo Devo, come see me in, the basement of a warehouse
Can't
somewhere.
burn that information out of your brain.
Do we think that's like a cradle creature because Earth is like the cradle of human civilization / like the cradle of life? Like, do we think it's like
yes.
like an original Earth animal? Like, it's
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like that's reasonable.
I do think it's a great term.
Elephants are like one of like the symbols of like Africa, which is also like the cradle of life, right? Like from like where
Double
human evolution.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah.
Well, and also for what it's worth, they are quite early diverging. They're about 100 million years ago within the mammalian lineage. They're a lot older than any carnivores or ungulates or primates, anything like that. Okay, so Palamedes has some questions. He wants to know if the angel has ever gotten medical care from the 9 houses. He wants to know if she's got an implant, and shit gets tense right away.
Yeah.
The angel basically finds an excuse to put Noodle in the kitchen and comes back and tells Palamedes not to move. If he comes any closer, she's going to throw herself out the window, and her dead body is designed to deny him answers. Palamedes is like, I'm not your enemy. I'm just asking these personal medical questions about you suddenly. And the angel says,
after doing a light bit of necromancy.
Born. I know, exactly. Like a pretty serious bit of necromancy also when you think about the fact that the assumption on the whole planet is that no one can do necromancy right now because of the blue madness. So her take is, you were born my enemy. You can be nobody but a lictor.
There's actually like a really sneaky thing where she takes all the stuff off the window so the blue light goes into the room. So like if he is a necromancer, he would immediately like fall
I thought
over.
she was
going
giving
around opening the blinds.
She was just giving the sniper's view.
Well, that too.
That's
But
right.
that's why she probably thinks it's a lictor, right? Because he has necromantic powers, but he's not affected by the blue light when she opens the windows.
It's this combination of things. And also, as you said, literally has opened up the view for the snipers. And so, boom, Hot Sauce actually comes back from the generator just in time to watch as a sniper puts a bullet through Nona's skull.
Boom, headshot.
And wouldn't that be a wonderful way to end this episode? What a perfect cliffhanger. But nope, there's more. This fucking chapter keeps going for a very long time. It takes a little while, and everything's kind of dark and headachy. We're not really seeing what's going on. But Nona's body pops the bullet out of her brain, as one does.
That's pretty cool.
And when she comes to, there's a lot of things going on. There's an unfamiliar voice in the background that's like arguing with the angel. It's the angel's bodyguard trying to cancel the hit. It's clearly not going well.
So this is what Nona hears as she's waking up. Cancel that. I said cancel that order. Merv, do you hear me? Merv, if I see even one of your bastards step into this building, I will call such hell down on you that they'll put your names up on the extinction roll. Don't you hang up on me, you motherfucking king-making piece of shit! I will rip off Hope's head and shit down his neck! God damn it! Fuck!
What did they say?
They said, sure, no prob.
I need you to do a TikTok of that whole reading. That was fucking wonderful. Your face was fucking fabulous. Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could do the accent that Moira Quirk does for Pash, because it's even funnier because she has this very distinct, like, I don't know, it might be like northern accent. I don't know. It's like, it's weird. It's a weird accent. Like,
I
weird
fucking
is a
loved
strong
what
term.
you did
It's like
there.
a very
I think
strong
no.
accent.
I would strongly recommend you to the casting director. That was phenomenal. So, I mean, it is Pash. We're going to find out it's Pash, but it's the bodyguard desperately trying to cancel this fucking hit. It's not going well. The angel and the bodyguard have an argument. The bodyguard is pretty fucking pissed that the angel has been playing teacher with the frigging Troya experiment. You're looking at the fucking Lichter Project, AIM. Your dog was getting walked by the fucking Lichter Project, and you just called wipe protocol on the fucking Lichter Project. And the angel, I think quite reasonably, is pissed because she's like, how the fuck could I have known? Like, under what circumstances was this something that I could have fucking known?
Yeah, Nona doesn't give off like dangerous Lichter Project vibes.
No, she really doesn't. She really doesn't.
Whatever the opposite of that is.
She's such a titch.
Yeah, it was beautiful as even as like this chapter goes on and like, you know, Nona recovers from 2 to 3 bullets. Like The angel is still very much like, oh, you sweet little innocent dear, you need protection.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
With the
Literally
fucking Lichter
finds out what
project.
she is and is trying to get her out. Oh God, they really have to get out. But Merv Wing's hit team is like downstairs trying to defuse the door. They're going to be here any minute. And Nona looks up and recognizes the bodyguard as BOE's own Our Lady of the Passion, who's walking over. I'm just going to deadhead these two real quick. And in a panic, Nona sits bolt upright and Pash, honestly, reasonably, this seems like a reasonable
Just
response.
like knee-jerk response.
Body sits up and Pash shoots her again. Shoots her in the chest. Oh God.
That
Nona's
doesn't seem
so
very Grateful
upset.
Dead of
She's
her.
like, you shot me.
Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead.
Oh God. So Nona's really, really upset. She sits up. She goes over to find Camilla, who's lying on the floor, eyes open, with her hands like clutched into fists over a pool of blood. But Cam basically just opens her eyes and sits up, and bullets drop out of her hand. Pash is now fucking pissed off at Cam and Pal, because at no point have Cam and Pal told We Suffer and the rest of Tessifon Wing that they have necromantic abilities or healing abilities or any of this shit. And Cam points out that no one bothered to tell them that the angel was BOE. I guess we've all lied to each other.
Now, this is the problem with the BOE, like, secret structure, right? Is like, when everybody's being super secret, it makes a problem if you run
People
into each other.
assume others know.
I wrote a short script at one point that was like a drug deal with like 6 or 7 different sides, and it goes really intense, and eventually they all realize they're all from different agencies that have been trying to like catch. The DEA is there and the FBI is there and the cops are there, and there's
Not
no
a single
drug
real
dealers
drug
at
dealer.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
That's the energy I'm getting here. Anyway, so yeah, bad communication. More importantly, even with direct communication, there seems to be literally no way to call off Merv Wing now that this liquidation order has been given. And so Pash and Cam are going to have to fight their way out of here, which is good because it'll give Camilla the opportunity to let out some deferred aggression.
So Pash is with Tessifon Wing because we last saw him with We Suffer, right? Or her.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
We saw
There was-
her. Yeah.
With We Suffer. Meanwhile, Merv Wing, this is We Hope, the Hopers.
Unjust Hope.
Unjust
the
Hope.
Hopers.
Right, We Suffer. Unjust
So
Hope.
We Suffer is like the wing commander of Tessifon.
Tessifon Wing, and this is Merv Wing. That these are the Hopers, or they're under Unjust Hope.
Yes.
And now we have Tessifon Wing through Pash, who's like absolutely KO, just taking out an entire other wing as a result. And there's like a moment at which he's just like, oh, if I like do this right, they won't even have time to notice before other stuff. Like, it was weird. Right? Isn't this weird? Friendly fire.
I don't know how friendly these different wings are. What's interesting to me is that the angel is a person who clearly stands in the middle.
Yeah,
That the angel is having protection both from this whole like Merv Wing and also from Pash. And also like the angel is someone that crosses boundaries in the context of these
BOE
factions
wings.
in BOE. And at the same time, yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. Pash is pretty happy to take out a whole bunch of Merv Wing commandos. And we haven't yet talked about how cool Pash looks and how Nona immediately resolves to do her hair that way. Right?
Reminds herself to practice scowling and dye her hair blue.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Nona has such a crush on Pash, and I love it.
I think it's
This
so
also
funny.
makes me laugh. Everybody in the fandom loves Pash, and I can't stand her, but that's fucking fine.
Leg machetes go so hard.
Yeah. I
will
really,
say that is cool.
We'll talk about this later. I have a lot of reasons why I love Pash, but I also understand all of the hate. And I think at the towards the beginning, I was like, fuck Pash. I hate Pash.
She's described like an arcane character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blue hair,
every
shaved
possible way.
sides, face
All the
scars,
grease.
like
I
machetes.
can't not picture her as Vi. I literally picture her as Vi, who I do like, by the way, but that's fine. Okay.
You're talking
Here we
about Vi
go.
from League of Legends,
So-
right?
No,
she's talking
well,
about
yes, from League of
yes.
Legends, because
Okay.
it's from Arcane, which is
Oh, okay,
based on
yeah.
League of Legends.
We don't know League of
All right.
Legends, but we have watched Arcane.
That's right. So basically, Pash and Cam are going to fight off a bunch of Merv Wing commandos. Nona goes to join Hot Sauce, who Pash locked in the generator room. And when Nona gets there, Hot Sauce is lying in the dark. She's lying on the ground next to a pool of vomit, basically. Nona holds her so tight. Hot Sauce keeps saying, I made it up. I made it up.
And Nona's doesn't know, like Nona just keeps telling her, yeah, you made it up, because she doesn't know what I was like, I don't know what you made up. Yeah, you made it up. You made it up. You made it up.
Right.
It's fine. Everything's
She's just
good.
trying to
Everything's fine. You made it up.
make you feel better. That's right.
What did you make
Hot
up?
Sauce explicitly says the bullet went into your head, and Nona very cleverly goes, you think it did, but it didn't.
She thinks about everything that Honesty ever told her about lying. It's a great sentence.
And that's what she comes up with.
And it works exactly as well as the fucking, WoW CEO or whatever when he said, you think you do, but you don't. All right. So once the fighting is over, the angel comes to get them. Noodle runs into the room and does exactly what Pepper does anytime I'm trying to do exercises on the floor. She's like, you're on the floor. We're friends. We're playing right now. Like Noodle's going and nuzzling them. It's good. The classroom is wrecked.
The poor Bean Project. They're going to have to put smushed in the experimental variables.
Into their variables.
That was
I'm
such
glad
a cute
that
The angel
these
is a consummate
nerds
teacher.
thought that was so hilarious.
Honestly.
Of course we thought it was funny.
We spent a lot of
times
time
I
on
had to be like,
experiments.
well, didn't expect that to happen. Put that in the notes. Oops.
Good note taking.
You're like,
is an
nobody
essential
turned on
part.
the incubator overnight.
Or what it's going to happen is like years later, you're like, what happened to that one experiment? And you're like, I got smushed, right? Totally forgot.
That's why we got those results. Anyway.
But, that's not all that's wrong in the room. There's literally like blood everywhere. All of the fixtures are wrecked. Cam is physically dragging bodies out into the coat room. And Hot Sauce walks over to the very large pool of blood where Nona was shot. And she looks at Nona and reaches up to her hair and sees that in the light you can literally see
Gore.
and feel the dried blood on Nona's braids. She even says something about how a little she saw brain come out or something, and Nona's like embarrassed. She's like, oh,
Yuck,
no,
I
that's
didn't
so
know.
gross, I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
Yeah. And Hot Sauce realizes and says out loud, I didn't make it up. And she pulls her gun out of her waistband and points it at Nona. She says, you're out of the gang. And she pulls the trigger.
So tragic. Like, we know it. What's so funny is like, it's another headshot. And we know this doesn't matter. But it's still devastating.
It is very upsetting. And also, I think it's an appropriate on-brand character reaction, right? Hot Sauce has been training since she was, traumatized to kill fucking zombies. This is her whole deal.
Well,
And it's a really intense thing to
Hard to kill a zombie.
Yeah, and this is
Also,
this person.
Chekhov's gun. Did we talk last time about how Nona said, don't put your gun in the waistband, you'll shoot your balls off.
Which also was great. I love that I appreciate that Pyrrha is like, that's a dumb thing to do, the same way that they, both Pyrrha and Cam think it's dumb that Pash has machetes strapped to her thighs. Yes. Like, this is not practical. But this 14-year-old shoots this sister, the person that she would like to be her sister, I would argue probably her closest friend, in the head. It's pretty upsetting.
Really upsetting.
Meanwhile, in a dream, Act 3.
I hate both of you.
Not even a pipe dream, but a con.
John 5:1. Be a bad wizard. Puppeting dead leaders. $2 billion and a suitcase nuke.
Well, no one is taking John at all seriously. They're too busy for miracles. The FTL project, meanwhile, is getting all of the money and political backing that the Cryo Project was once vying for. And that's partly happening because it's charitable. The trillionaires are going to pay huge amounts to build their own ships to fly their own asses off planet. And everyone in the world is cheering them on and thanking them for their charitable contributions to this project. Here's the deal. One night, they're having a barbecue. They've got the window open so they can talk to G outside, who's actually manning the Barbie. And John tells all of his friends that they're going to save the planet. They're not going to let the FTL guys get away with it.
And they were all like, yeah, John, because they were my friends. But then they were also like, yeah, but how? Because they were assholes.
Too many tertiary degrees.
I really
Several
appreciated
tertiary
that. I was
degrees.
like, this is why you can't talk to people.
This book is rapidly approaching dark academia, and I once again hate you guys.
Realistic
I love the
academia is not the
take
same as
that
dark
this is
academia.
dark academia. I love the take that this series is dark academia.
It's just cynical academia.
It feels like that for Gideon the Ninth. I honestly would take that as a description for Gideon the Ninth.
That is true.
God has a
That is
PhD.
true. That is the aesthetic. P points out that they need people to take them seriously. Like, that is the first step, is to actually get people's attention and make sure that people are really taking them seriously. She says, if they want to make you into a bad wizard, be a bad wizard. They're going to listen because we scare the shit out of them.
This is an interesting take on P.
Yeah, I was going to say there's also some meta commentary here about like being able to rewrite history, considering this whole chapter is John telling his like oral history of everything.
His story. Great point.
Yeah, you can
That's a really great
rewrite
point.
it to be whatever you want.
And there's, oh my God, there's a moment at the end of Harrow, right, where Augustine is like, is that actually the truth or just what you tell yourself? And Jod is like, what's the difference? Right? You got to wonder how often he and how thoroughly he rewrites history. You're totally right. So soon after, kind of unrelated, they get a visit from men in black suits in a black car. And these men have a situation. Their organization, which turns out to be a national government, is having a bad time because their leader is indisposed. Read as dead. They want John to puppet the guy for a while, make him look alive, do a couple
Give
of press
speeches.
conferences. Exactly.
The thing that's even funnier is he's like, oh, that's beyond me. I can't really like bring him back. And they're like, no, it's fine. We actually like it this way. We would prefer to just puppet him.
That's exactly right. They don't want the leader. They just don't want the panic it'll cause if people find out he's dead.
Right.
And they are willing to pay a very large amount of money for this.
A lot of zeros.
M and
Trace
A step
commas.
in to negotiate.
And then you have bad cop, worse cop, and sorry cop.
That's exactly right.
It was a cute description.
It is, but also it's like, this is classic. I feel like Jod loves to put himself in a position where he's the good guy and the people around him are just making the bad stuff happen. It's not my fault, He's like
I really
letting
love the
everyone else
description
be
of
the
this because
bad
they're
cop.
like, we have you by the balls or whatever, and like pounding the table. And he was like, whoa, sorry guys, I don't know them. They're being very mean.
But eventually these negotiations go very well. John will puppet this politician, and in exchange, he'll walk away with a couple of $1 billion and a suitcase nuke.
Which we've described as not really enough to like do a lot with. It's enough to do a little something with a single suitcase nuke.
Yeah, it's like a city.
Wonder what he's planning for it with it. Anyway.
I would argue that part of the problem there is that if the whole nuclear thing is this like mutually assured destruction, as soon as one person sets it off,
presumably that is just what you're left with.
Retaliation, it's sufficient. Yeah. But there's no way that's going to blow up in their faces.
Side note for our listeners, if you, Behind the Bastards a few weeks ago, did like a history on the nuclear response system and like the development of nuclear weapons in the United States, and it's truly terrifying how much mutually assured destruction in like some of the systems they built. It truly was. If one person set off a nuke, the entire world was going to end for like 45 years.
Actually, incidentally, also, it is worth going way, way back in the Behind the Bastards catalog and listening to the episode about Joseph Stalin, who was drunk 100% of the time. It is a miracle that they did not set off a bomb, and we absolutely would have responded.
Third goal with this podcast is become just famous enough to become a guest on Behind the Bastards at some point. That would be the dream. Second goal, obviously, is annoy the wife.
Get along
For
so
a
well.
Roman emperor.
Do you know that we have an inn? We actually have an inn there.
We do?
No joke. We could reach out.
Hell yeah.
Moving right along, it's time for a game. Interstitial. It's tact, little man. It's tact. There is this just fabulous moment early in chapter 17, back where everything is good and the gang's all together and it's beautiful, where Nona almost throws a tantrum because beautiful Ruby keeps calling Pyrrha a pimp.
I also
And
love
honesty-
where she's like, Pyrrha didn't come home last night.
She almost calls. That's exactly right. Yes. So Honesty has to explain to beautiful Ruby that it's okay to ask if Nona's people are hurt or dead, but not to call them pimps because it's tact, little man. It's tact. Something that Honesty's full of. So I thought we could take a page out of Honesty's book. There's always room to be civil. This week, our game is all about etiquette. So I'm going to post some scenarios, and our hosts are going to help us understand the most tactful way to deal with the situation. So, Brooke, what is the tactful approach to dumping your therapist?
You know, I'm not full of tact. Marie knows. John knows. Great. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I think of you as tactful.
I'm not.
That's proof we haven't spent enough time together. Go on.
Tactful approach to dumping your therapist.
My husband thinks Brooke is amazing specifically because
I'm not tactful.
He's like, yes, this is
There's
who
some
everybody
cultures
should
that
be.
appreciate bluntness. Anyway, okay. I think if you're dumping your therapist, I think you have to like say something about how like you've gotten a lot of value out of like the time that they've invested in you and you appreciate it. And then I personally would be like, hey, yeah, I'm like busy for the next 3 months. Why don't we put something on the calendar a few months out? And then I'm going to cancel it.
You're going to ghost.
And at what point do you explain that you're no longer willing to see them romantically?
Is that what the question is?
I just thought I would add some flair. We can leave it as is. You're like, same answer.
Don't date your
something on the
therapist,
books.
I guess is my advice. If you're dating your therapist, get a new one, in which case it's a lot easier to be like, look, I need to talk to somebody who is not my partner. It's a lot easier to say whatever you want to your partner.
Oh.
We'll get into that in our next session. All right, John, what's the appropriate method for telling someone they have a booger on their face? We're talking a big one.
Yeah, I think it's steadily escalating motions of wiping your nose. So you start off with like a very, very gentle, just like,
Flick of the nose,
flick of the nose, and then like, you go with like maybe one of these with like the thumb and the forefinger.
So are you like doing like a subtle mirroring of like trying to get them to like feel like
we're trying to make eye contact for sure. Like a little bit of side eye, not like facing, but just like, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And then finally, like if they don't get it, we're just going like full like playing the violin on your nose, just like, hey, like,
No, would you ever actually like try and nudge them and be like, just got a little something?
If I knew them, maybe, but like if we're just telling a stranger, no, we're just doing like a.
No, you just walk away.
Yeah,
that's true.
All right, Marie, what is the right way to gently let someone know that their life partner is secretly a world-renowned art thief?
Oh,
what business is that of theirs? However, I will be asking the art thief for like, a little small, like tasteful, like not super well known, like little piece
work,
We're blackmailing
so your
the
answer
art
was
thief.
blackmail.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God,
that's cool. No better answer.
Yeah. It's actually such an upsettingly good answer that I think I may have to steal it. I was going to tell you about how all the etiquette books tell you to talk about your friend's necromancy habit. And I think similarly, you just tell them that you're willing to keep that under wraps indefinitely if they cure your allergies.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Tact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Brooke, what's a polite way to ask someone to leave your life forever?
I think that's a trick question. I don't think there is.
I believe we can quote Brooke's favorite actor of all time and just say, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
There we go.
That was incredible.
That's as tactful as any other option.
That's absolutely perfect. And John, you're going to have to follow yourself up. And I can't believe I actually wrote one about blackmail now that we've done this twice. How do you gently inquire as to the whereabouts of the blackmail materials currently being held in exchange for millions of dollars in antique coins?
So
asking for a friend.
I have a clarifying question. Are we asking?
Is the blackmail on us?
Yeah. Like where's the blackmail going?
In this scenario, you are the mediator who has been hired by the blackmailee to consult with the blackmailer
to try and get a little information.
That's not how blackmail works.
No, but it is
if you're
in there. If you're a super spy, then maybe you can dodge the blackmail. by finding it.
Well, I
You
think
intervene.
we definitely lean into our negotiation skills, and we, give a little on both sides. So, we get a little bit closer to where the not ancient coins, sorry, antique coins. Get a little bit closer to the antique coins. We're getting a little bit closer to where the blackmail is, right? We're going.
Wow. John's
tit for tat
negotiating
here
with
throughout
terrorists.
the process.
And then you end up with both the blackmail material and the antique coins, and then you can blackmail both sides.
That's
the
incredible.
hustle.
God, that was good, Marie. That was fucking amazing. I can't believe.
Not leaving
is-
any
Marie,
opportunity on the
Marie.
I
table
have
over
one
here.
answer to all of these, apparently.
Win.
It's
Yes,
fine.
and I would like you to answer the next question. Marie, what tactful approach would you employ when you're explaining to your parents that they cannot film you giving birth?
So the answer to this one is not blackmail.
I mean, you could blackmail them.
I mean, it would work.
Tell them they're never seeing their grandkids.
Oh, no, you're right. The answer is
Hostage.
blackmail.
Yeah.
It's a hostage
My
situation.
actual
Mhm.
true answer to this is, what business is that to know that you're like in active labor? Like you can call them from the hospital when there is a baby. No, all of these grandparents who like want to be in the room, I'm like, I don't want to be there. I'm not good with this situation.
Of the opinion that tact is not required when it comes to telling somebody the boundaries of your own personal space.
There we go.
God, that's so lovely for you. I can't imagine a world like that. I feel like I constantly have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but if you could remove your hand from my breast, that would be great. Like, I have no ability to, I'm
Just be
really
like,
not good at.
You're going to fuck off.
Yeah.
Because this is myself, not yourself.
It seems so strange then that as the writer of these, you have then given yourself the task of figuring out how to politely establish dominance during a staring match with someone on public transit. Is this like a normal like daily occurrence for you? Or, like,
I'm sure it
like, what does
is.
dominance have to do with this?
What does dominance
I'm
mean?
not good at establishing dominance. I just make friends on public transit. This is like I routinely just end up in deep conversations with people on public transit. But I like the idea of you find yourself in a staring match and you just can't stop. And I think you got to make yourself physically bigger little bit by little bit. If you do it too quickly, that's rude. That's not tactful. You got to slowly expand into the space until you're both looming over each other. And then when the train comes to a sudden stop, you fall
kiss.
into a deep embrace. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
good.
I know exactly where she's going with this.
We've got one last round. Brooke, we're going into details here. What is the appropriate attire for a conversation with a loved one about how little you care about their recent diagnosis? What are you wearing to tell someone you don't care they have cancer?
I think a Hawaiian shirt makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
John, do you often do this? Is that why you wear so many?
I love my Hawaiian
right.
shirts, and you're never going to tell me. Tell me otherwise.
John, what is the most tactful timing when you need to convey to someone that their nipples have slipped out of their Fifth Element costume?
Well, have we determined that it was not on purpose? Like,
Oh, interesting.
I think that's the first question. That's how you
Is
do
it-
it. That's how you
yeah.
tactfully be like, man, that costume is showing a lot.
yeah. Is this on
So you do it right away.
Is this on
You're not going
purpose,
to
or do we
delay
have
and hope
a
it corrects itself? Or
no? Because maybe we have a Janet Jackson situation.
I don't remember you showing that much skin.
Ah, Marie, what is the ideal location to gently let a colleague know that you've been poisoning them over the course of months?
Publicly.
Like in a park, in a cafe, in a what?
Somewhere where they can't like react by like jumping over the table at you.
Okay. Because they're also tactful
It'd
when
be
they hear that
justified.
you've been poisoning. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you the gift that you bring along to soften the blow when you tell a friend that their lover has been taken by aliens.
Oh,
And I think the gift you bring is,
A box of wine.
oh, I like a box of wine. You know what?
Harder.
Okay, it's a box of wine, a pint of Ben & Jerry's, and a DVD copy of Men in Black. I think that actually does it. I think
Yeah.
that solves that problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. I kind of think we should write our own etiquette book. And I also think that we should really resort to blackmail more often.
I desperately
That's what I
have a
learned.
new business idea where I want us to like customize craft these gift boxes for the most obscure occasions. And somebody goes
if you would like our gift boxes for very specific occasions over which you have no control and no input.
No, I think you purchase them. It's like you know how like you can like buy
It's
like
a blind box.
like a bait
Yeah,
like a
on
new
Etsy.
baby box or a just getting married like or like a box for like I don't know like all these like different occasions. I think we need all the unhinged occasions that are super underrepresented out there.
I think this is a great idea. Please come back to, you should already be checking out our Frontline 5th Redbubble store because it's rad, but we're also opening an Etsy store that's just selling blind gift boxes for obscure occasions. And we're going to work on that soon, but not right now because right now is time for rampant speculation. Act 4. What we know is that we don't know anything. Well, I know that Brooke and John aren't just great at befriending dogs, they're also brilliant conspiracy theorists. So, Brooke, John, the fuck is happening?
Good question.
Honestly,
Honestly, let's be clear. Okay, we have no idea. Pyrrha is still MIA, probably with the shuttles.
Nope.
That's a problem. You don't think so?
no, I'm saying we still don't know where she is.
Yeah, but probably at the shuttles. I think that's a great logical jump that Calamity's made. I think it makes sense. Or she was kidnapped. You know, options. But we did get a lot of information about the angel here, which we've talked about this a little bit earlier. That positions her in a like pretty unique position of importance within BOE. And I'm a little confused about all of that and how she's going to continue playing into this book beyond just her role as a teacher. So what we've learned about her
real title is The Messenger. BOE can't fire guns or do anything violent around her, otherwise they get into trouble. She's basically like, she's the Switzerland of BOE, it sounds like. And then she also
has a necromantic implant.
Yeah, she also has a responsibility to millions, right? Like is what she says, like, you know.
She's millions of bosses, is that right?
Yeah, so it's like,
right?
is she supposed to be like the neutral, like reasonable person from humanity in BOE? Like the person that keeps them grounded? Is she just like the go-between between like what could be millions of people, like all the different BOE factions? We also get like a weird shout out to Noodle during this where she's like, don't come in here, I have my dog with me. So like, again, I am once again wondering if we're being led down the path by Hannah Marie that Noodle is way more important than
I don't think so.
We think so, or that
very well trained Noodle danger just disappears.
Yeah, she also says something about how it might be Cam is doing it, it might be Pal and Cam's body where they say like you know, they call you the angel, and you know, just like they don't understand your actual title. So like I think we had talked about like
Amy,
angel,
right? Her nickname is Aim, which to me is short for Amy, but that could be a total bad assumption. Okay, so Aim somehow turns into the angel. Is that an accent thing?
Oh, I was thinking like the messenger, right? Like an angel is a messenger of God. Like it's a fun.
Okay, maybe. Mervwing obviously has been watching the school. They are in position for sniping, and we also hear that they had like they've gone like kind of off the deep end. They're almost staging like something like a coup. I think it was described at some point. Like things have been happening the last 24 hours with Mervwing that they are acting extreme. And if I looked back, Mervwing is who's holding onto the 6th house hostages. So that's a little freaky. Don't know what that means for the 6th house if there's like talk about Mervwing doing crazy things recently since they've been kidnapped, since they were taken to We Suffer the day before.
Yeah. We've been getting kind of drip fed over the last like book and a half basically about how, you know, BOE was really united when, you know, Captain Wake was the figurehead, but now it seems like there's been a lot of, you know, more infighting. Mervwing goes rogue and then they end up killing a bunch of like, it's just, we still don't really understand anything about BOE's plan either, right? Like we don't know what the goal with the lictor, you know, the tomb, like everything we got from Cam and Pal these chapters gave us way more questions than answers.
Now Tessa Von Wing has, including Cam and Pash mostly, has slaughtered a set of Mervwing commandos. Was it Mervwing that approached Camilla on the beach like months ago that she shot down? Also,
I don't remember if this was explicit, but that's what I think happened.
I think it was explicit. I was just wondering if I misremembered. My point is, Unjust Hope has a lot of reasons to be pretty upset with Tessa Von Wing.
Yeah.
What and that's not great as a bargaining chip for Cam and Pal's family.
Yep. So and the last piece you have here is God plus nuke ? And I think we can give ourselves like half a point because we talked about this, like going back to even like our first theories about the like origin of John and the Lichter process and everything else, but we still don't know where it all fits in the timeline. We got another puzzle piece, but like, you know, assuming kind of that what we talked about, mutually assured destruction, you know, is he gonna find out that they're leaving the planet and he just, you know, sets off the nuke chain and then kills everybody? Like what? We don't know at this point. I think we had talked about, do we think God killed everybody to resurrect the planet at one point, or resurrect, you know, like the 9 houses? Is this how he does it? Is he
if he can't control them, when they're alive, he can control them when they're dead. If it's like a situation of trying to get people off the planet, maybe that is what happens. Maybe that's the piece we're missing here, is that it's not that the rich fucks managed to get off the planet and like peace out, leave them behind. It's that he nuked the planet before that could happen and shipped people off as resurrected zombies, if he manages to figure that out.
But that, like, how does that align with like the 9 houses and then the rest of humanity? Like, do we think that because there's humans everywhere in space now?
Yep, I don't know. It could be simple as something as simple as there were 10 ships, but only 9 made it to where they were supposed to go, and 1 landed at a different place. I don't know.
The only other thing that I was just trying to figure out was they were talking about the Lichter project and like what they're trying to do, like Cam and Pal's conversation, and that like brought me back to, we still don't know what they're doing with the bodies in the convoy.
My God, right? So, so things that we have gotten no movement on in recent chapters. Convoy, and I don't know, I'm calling them White Walkers, but their eyes are white. So
I'm wondering if it's like, because it sounds like some wings of BOE are open to like experimenting with necromancers way more.
Furians.
What? Furians. Yeah. They're Furians. Convoy and the Furians, just to connect it back to our recent Riddick.
For context, our patron episode, this is going to be a review of the Chronicles of Riddick. I'm starting to wonder if the convoy is them trying to figure out a way to like deny necromancers' bodies. Like, is it like a way to like basically keep a soul there so like they don't get the death juice basically, and they don't get used to the body? Like that's my current theory.
Or it's fight zombies with zombies.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't know who they have doing that. That seems like a process that's deliberate. I don't know if you could like just use like necromantic juice of, oh, what if they are taking like blood from Judith or something, and like I don't know what would happen. That doesn't seem right. But it Fowers a Steely, her blood, right? I don't know. Don't understand how this system works. Anyway,
I mean, I imagine BOE's got to be working on some type of plan to actually fight necromancers at some point. Yeah, but
whether or not it's an offensive defense versus just a plain defense, I'm not sure.
And also the last thing here, knowing Tamsin, I imagine the RB is going to do something in the very near future because
Varun.
Yeah, we got the Nona saying, don't do anything. So, of course, Varun is probably going to do something.
Varun is hanging out. The tomb is opening in 48 hours.
We still have absolutely nothing on that.
And we got the first allusion to the tomb in this entire book from Palamides in the context of a successful soul gestalt trying to figure out the identity of Harrow. So I don't know what they know, what they're thinking. I don't know if they... You know who wouldn't know? Yeah, I don't think that Pyrrha would know that the tomb had been entered, right?
Probably not.
She only knows that the 9th house mission failed, but obviously the baby's still alive, or was alive for longer.
Yeah, I think coming out of this, we need to go murder boarding and actually like nail
I don't
down
know.
some
We
thoughts.
have enough stuff. What's going on? So then, because we also have Ianthe in the form of Nibirius, and Gideon's corpse are both on
the planet.
Why is Gideon's body there? Like, is it being sent out as a piece of propaganda? That feels risky. We know that Gideon's body is required to get into the tomb or the Emperor. So if the tomb is opening in 48 hours, I don't think it's going to be, I mean, I guess Gideon's body could go super fast maybe back there, but it sounds like maybe the Emperor's opening the tomb.
Yeah, we have nothing on that. Or
it's opening through some other fail-safe lock mechanism. Yeah. I don't know. From the inside.
we also haven't figured out why Ianthe is in Babs yet. Like how that happened.
Oh, how it happens? I
Yeah.
think that one makes a little bit more sense. If somehow they recognize the same thing that like, or maybe they figured it out because they somehow knew that Pyrrha and Harrowhark were here on this planet where Varun is, and like how was that operationally working, and they maybe kind of just like did some deductive reasoning to be like, wrong body, right soul, and vice versa. And so they did a soul transfer into the body.
That's actually a really good point. Maybe it's to get around the Varun thing, right? Because
otherwise,
I
think deliberately.
Well, otherwise it would be Babs, right, in control. If they did it originally, Babs would be the one. But
Babs would be in Ianthe's body, and
to not go crazy, right? Because RBs still drive lictors crazy.
They're not supposed to but they don't drive Babs crazy. But Babs is not really like mentally present. It's more just like almost like an instinctual response mechanism.
Autopilot thing. So so it's something weird with Ianthe.
So they seem to figure out how to do that. They seem to figure out that was necessary in order for her to be around Varun, to get past Varun's notice. But I don't know like what's going to happen there. So like clearly shit has to go down. I feel like what's going to have to happen in the next few chapters is that like they find Harrowhark, right? Like somehow like that they end up crossing paths. To me, there's got to be a meeting.
I'm still of the theory that Harrowhark's literally hanging out in the tomb. Like she came out of the river in the literal tomb.
Sure, I mean Harrowhark's body for Nona.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Nona and Ianthe are going to have to like cross paths, even though neither of them are properly in their own bodies. And I don't know what the fuck happens at that point.
Yeah. It seems like the one of the themes
Varun
of book 3 here is so many.
Then Varun helps Nona, right?
Yeah.
They're on the same side.
So many souls in different bodies.
Obviously, Emperor's a pretty bad guy, pretty awful dude. Ianthe coming in full villain mode. Varun no longer the enemy, so Arby's good now?
Arby's were never good. Their sandwiches have always been terrible.
And with that,
I guess we'll see if any of that happens next time when John and Brooke have a tantrum in Nona the Ninth, chapters 19 and 20, and John 3:20.
And if you, dear listener, are like Brooke and me, reading along for the first time, make sure you find our reading calendar on our website, frontlinefifth.podbean.com, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. And to support us, you can buy merch or join our Patreon, all of which are linked in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. And if you didn't like it, feel free to lie. Now head off to sleep, my baby necros. Mommy and Daddy have some deep spoilers to discuss.
Get in, losers. We're going speculating.
Act 5. Don't do anything weird, okay?
Warning! This portion of the podcast is 98% spoilers and like 2% snickering.
Seriously, we'll spoil anything and everything in the series up through Nona the Ninth. If that's not what you want, turn back now. We have a lot of random things to talk about. We don't have to talk about them all. Okay, so we actually talked a little bit about Cam and Pal and their conversation, and specifically their speculation about like BOE's desire to have Harrow or not. It's weird. I don't think there's something there that I don't totally understand.
No, I do think, like, I didn't catch it until we were talking about it, but I do think that maybe the most interesting thing about that is that Cam and Pal know something now about.
I loved that you brought that up.
Understand now that Gideon is important for getting into the tomb. Like, they have that piece now, and really the only reason that they could have that piece was for Pyrrha telling them about it, and that's part of like why they have the bedtime story of we lost something important.
I really don't know if they know what's in the tomb, but Pyrrha should and does.
And I don't think Pyrrha's telling them.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited to see what Alecto is going to be like, even in that first chapter. I kind of hope it starts exactly where Nona leaves off, because like I feel like there's a big what the fuck moment there.
I do know that like what we've been told about how Alecto starts and whether this actually truly is how Alecto starts is, you know, maybe things can change. But that it's like literally Harrow opening her eyes to like a pair of like big old titties because she's in the tomb with the front line lying on her face.
You know, big old titties, but if it's accurate, no genitalia vis-a-vis Barbie.
No, because it's the magazine. Like, it's her waking up in the dream with Frontline Fifth on her face.
Frontline Fifth on her face?
Yeah.
I thought it was Electo leaning in Barbie body, but I...
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love for Frontline Fifth to get a shout out immediately in the fourth book here.
Love it too. I would feel so vindicated in this fucking podcast name.
Oh my god. All right. Let's just like jump ahead. There were some things about Nona that I really loved this episode. 2-month-old Nona sounds exactly like an RB. She's going salt water, water mouth, water, salt, water mouth. She sounds so much like Varun sounds when Varun's talking through Judith. And I didn't notice that before, but it's fucking dead on. There's also some deliberate parallel discrepancies. I don't know how to say that better. So for instance, last episode, John is worried that no one will laugh at his jokes again. In this episode, Nona is worried for Pyrrha because that Pyrrha won't have anyone to laugh at her jokes. It's like this just who do you care about thing where you're worried about. Yeah. So I love that. I also really do love her conversation with Varun here. She asks if Varun knows where Pyrrha is and then says, it's okay. And then says, don't do anything weird. Okay. I'm having enough trouble as it is. We know that Nona loves Varun and can hear it sing. That's not the same thing as assuming that this blue orb can answer you or have an answer for something like where Pyrrha is, or can control whether or not it's doing something weird. And it made me wonder how much Nona knows, or whether this is all subconscious. It's just like vibes. It feels like this is the right thing to do at the moment.
Nona lives completely by vibes because she doesn't question it that she can't learn things. She doesn't question it that she can understand people. She doesn't question it that like it's a sex thing. She just lives completely on vibes. And I feel like that's also how she feels about her own identity, where she's curious about whether she could be one of these other two people because it's really important to the people that she loves since she woke up to like 6 months ago, that she's one of these two people. Like, it's really important to them. So she'd love to know. And she's like desperately curious about it. But I think that's very separate than understanding truly who she is. Like yep. It's, Nona is such an alternate personality of Electo that is just living on vibes.
I'm loving that. And that makes a lot of sense. She's doing what feels right in the moment, and there's never any follow-up logic. Why did I do that? Why did I think that? Yeah. In fact, one of the only moments where she thinks about her own thoughts is this moment last chapter where she goes, oh my God, I remembered something. That's like the only like second level thought she ever has.
This is interesting. Nona has no metacognition, because if she had any metacognition, she would know who she was.
Yeah. Yes.
And that would be dangerous. Yeah. And then she wouldn't be Nona.
And speaking of who Nona is, there are 3 separate instances in these chapters of Nona knowing earth animals and not having the metacognition to be like, wait, how do I know about that animal? So she talks about Varun lowing like a cow. She's got her cradle creature drawing. And then there's a moment where she holds Hot Sauce like she's a baby who lives in Hot Sauce's pouch, which is, like absolutely explicit. All these things that she could not know. All right. I do think we have to talk about the angel a little bit.
Yeah, the angel's so fun. I can't wait until we like know exactly what the angel is, because I have so many thoughts and I've said some of them.
Right. Okay. So I had it wrong. Last time I think I said that she was referred to as the message, but she's not. She's referred to as the messenger, but she carries the message. This all makes sense. Is the message a thing that she cognizantly knows, or is it information stored on the implant, do you think?
I think my assumption is that it's on the implant. And she has an idea about the nature of the message, but she doesn't know what the message is. And I think later when she's asked what the message is or asked who she is, she says she's one part of the message. I think that's where you're getting that she isn't the messenger. It's like one of these weird things where she is both the messenger and the message.
Yeah.
Itself.
But I think it's interesting too. If the message is literally something that's on an implant, why the fuck would it matter having a human person carry it? Like that seems like DNA. Such an interesting. That's interesting. And the implant itself, very clearly from what Calamity senses, has to be something that is effectively necromantically implanted. Mm-hmm. He's so certain that she had some sort of procedure done by the house, which means that they have someone somewhere capable of doing necromantic medicine.
Or they have their own branch of weird things. But I think this is really weird because the way that Wake does some things, like and the way that they're like willing to, like some of them are like super hard line and like, no, we have to kill all the zombies. It's like I think what we're going to maybe find out about BOE is it's one of these things where this is very typical of just governments and elites in particular. And there's a lot of parallels in our governments and etc. But we like to go to historical examples of like communism because of course communism is evil, right? Where the rules for everyday people are not the rules for the ruling elite.
Yep.
And I think that is exactly what's going on in BOE, where the rules for everyday commandos and like the disgust and everything for necromancers and necromancy and like, why would you ever touch that at all? And there's no purpose for it and it's extermination and all of that versus but they have these cool ships.
But it's a useful tool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's really interesting. I think that's fascinating. It's something I never thought about before, but we actually had talked pretty extensively last book about the degree to which Wake seems really adept and comfortable at manipulating the river and manipulating kind of the ghost realm and acting as a spirit. And I think that's actually really interesting that they may have their own branch even of necromancy, or they may have some tutelage in it, or they may have some exposure to it beyond what the average person would know. And actually, I think that's super interesting. We're going to skip just like a little bit. So Pash was, of course, described by Crown as what happens when nepotism and bullshit collide. But I think this is the first time you get like confirmation of that, right? There's
Auntie
this moment
said it
where
was
she
90%, like 10% superstition and 90% for the fun of it.
That's exactly right. And then also, you know, like the angel's like, you're going to get yourself shot. And she's like, not with my pedigree, right? Like we're getting this explicit thing. And so suddenly, based on what you just said, we've talked about what will happen when Judith realizes that her father is actually a dick and that her whole understanding of the 9 houses is really false. But I think there could be something interesting when Pash understands that her auntie, who is the fucking god of BOE, basically, is also someone who actually had sex with necromancers and who maybe even has some access to necromancy or something like that. Yeah. There's something that could be really interesting there as well. Because Pash does seem like a hardliner, like we shoot anybody who has any necromancy kind of thing.
But also Pash is such a, like, I think this is why I totally understand and agree, and I'm not going to try and change your mind on Pash at all.
It's perfectly fine.
Because Pash is so hateable. Pash is so hateable. And also I find Pash so fascinating. Number one, because she is so fucking unlikable and so insufferable. And also such a foil and flip side of Gideon. Like she is
for sure
Gideon. If Gideon had grown up in that, and you can see that she, like, I can see like the little pieces underneath of her feeling this camaraderie, seeing a kindred spirit in Cam, and being disgusted by herself because she is agreeing with a zombie. And like her conflict and the way that she reacts to everybody during this, I think is fascinating.
Okay, you actually are winning me over because that's a much more complicated. No, but she's a more complicated character than I was giving credit for. Like, I think she is. She's someone who, like Gideon, reacts to things by putting on a show. Gideon's is always humor, but there are big feelings underneath, and she is actually dealing with internal conflict. I love that.
And I'm sure like insane trauma, because later on we get like
God, no doubt.
The description of like Pyrrha recognizes her because Wake was carrying around a picture of her as like a 10-year-old holding an assault rifle.
Right. She basically was a child soldier, which, I mean, everything. I don't think you can be on these refugee planets and not have trauma, actually. I don't think anybody's walking away okay.
It's not possible.
Yeah. So the other thing, so 2 more things about the angel that I want to mention. One, we talked last time about how there's a part of me that just thinks the message is going to be some like completely meme-ridden bullshit that's hilarious.
Yes.
But there's also part of me that wonders if the message is literally like the transmitting beacon from the guide ship, from like the tugboat ship.
Yeah.
If it actually is something directly related to the FTL, which I think would be very interesting, and I don't know what that would mean. And it would be really fucking important to Jod to find that at that point. but I don't think he knows the message or the messenger exists.
This is one of these things where I don't think that I've ever, that's not true. I have been in fandoms that have had to wait for things. And then like my kind of corollary to this waiting for Electo and doing all of this deep dive and like theorizing and stuff like this is waiting for the end of the Wheel of Time series. And so there was one of these things where there were certain things that were signposted that were going to happen.
Okay.
And the fans knew they were going to happen. And there was like a piece of satisfaction of being like, yes, I was right. Like it was so clear. It was like so clearly signposted. It was so clearly going to happen that on the one hand, it's satisfying. And on the other hand, you're like, but also I already knew that, like, so what? And then you keep reading. So there's like a part of me that almost is resisting trying to even figure out too much what the message is and just being like, I don't think we have enough. Like, we know that it is like some sort of modification. We know that it has to be in a body. We know that a dead body can't give up the information. And we know that it is, that had a, like more than one part. She's like she's the last piece. And then it's too simple for people to understand. So like there's a whole bunch of things there
for the record.
Huh? Yeah, right? Like so like that's one thing where it could be binary. It could be something where it's like important to regenerating life, right? So it could be something where it's like binary of like all of like the genetic code of Earth.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or it could have something to do with the river and reactivation. Or it could be the pinpoint, like this is where the ships are coming out. And like maybe the ships are like an arc ship of like all of the biodiversity of Earth or something, right? Like those are like the handful of things.
This is I hear you not wanting to speculate, but your speculations are fabulous, Marie. I'm really enjoying them.
Well, I think it's like, okay, so if any of those things are right, like I'm kind of almost hoping that it's something ridiculous and almost like a little bit like stupid and surprising that I can't guess at.
I'm going to be honest, I trust her to do that. She's fucking insane. I genuinely trust her to surprise us, no matter how much we speculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I also, so, all right, truly the last thing about the angel, I'm interested in how you get to the point where you become AIM, right? Like, she seems like she grew up as basically just a radical college kid. She seems really ordinary. And she actually has a super not BOE sensibility. In the same way that Pyrrha has like an oddly BOE sensibility, the angel is sitting there teaching them about nuance. You know? The angel is sitting there saying they're not your enemy. That might be like another clue to what
the message is. The message is not whatever the radical guerrilla aims of BOE are. The message is bigger and about all of humanity. And it just so happens that the message is now currently safe with BOE and would not be safe with the houses.
Yes, I love that. That's fucking phenomenal. That was really, really good. Whew. I think that's actually all I want to talk about this time. You got anything else?
Like we already talked about the whole Cam and Pal thing. I find it really interesting that like it gives me shivers, and I don't know how much Brooke and John are going to pick up on the fact of like on a any reread, Cam saying "lucky them" is just
which tells you, and it tells you how early. If this really is like at the same time as that, the like Nona voice she hears of herself at 2 months, they've been thinking about this process and doing this for months at the minimum. They've been planning this out. And honestly, like, it sounds so painful to vacillate in both directions, to sit there waiting and wondering if you should. And also, I mean, every part of it is heartbreaking. This idea that love is inherently an indelible burden. The idea that love is inherently something that, restricts your freedom, and that you choose it, right? That like one of the things Cam says basically, he's like, I'm so sorry for squatting in your soul. I shouldn't have demanded rights. And she's like, you didn't. I gave them to you, right?
It also reminds me of The Unwanted Guest and the way that Dulcinea has this conversation. And like, because we were talking about like callbacks or like kind of parallels and repeated phrases and whatever. And so Camilla says, love and freedom don't coexist, Warden. And he says, this is all there is to love. Simply by being in your life, I have added indelibly to its weight. Yes.
Yeah.
And he asks the same thing of Dulcinea. Like, he struggles
in almost
with this.
exactly the same terms. Yeah. Yeah.
He is so he wants to be the one who takes on the burden, and he continually finds himself needing other people and being the burden, and he has to struggle with accepting the love.
Yes.
He has to
And
struggle
that's a beautiful
with
way to put
accepting
it.
being loved by these people. And that is his struggle, and that's what he's ruminating on all the time, is like, really, like, all I could bring is this type of pain. And they're like, I mean, it like, we chose it. It's not you. Like, the type of agency that you're saying here is like, seems very one-sided. Like, don't give yourself that much power. And also, yes.
And yeah, there's a level of, I mean, they don't have this, but I have this level of like, how dare you? You don't get to choose.
They're gently doing that to him. Of like,
yeah.
You don't get to be the one who chooses how this goes.
Yeah.
You aren't the one who is steering this whole thing. It isn't your plan. It's us.
Yeah. You can't decide that it's better for me to just let you go. Mm-hmm. We together are something else.
Yeah.
Oh, love, it's beautiful, and it hurts
so hard.
Yeah.
You can't take loved away. This is also, see, there's another thing. We have a precursor. Sorry, we have a precursor to that, parallel to that as well, where she says, "But I loved them," and Cam just says, "I know."
Yeah. Yeah. Act 6. See you next time, my little nunlets. Well, it looks like we got to get out of the way of a tantruming Nona, so we'll be back next week for all the blood and gore that is Nona the Ninth Chapters 19 and 20 and John 3:20. If you want to follow along with us, our reading calendar is available on our website at frontline5th.podbean.com. You'll figure it out. Just Google Frontline 5th. You can follow us on Instagram or TikTok, which are linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, please tell your friends. Give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. And of course, if you didn't enjoy the podcast, go out there and lie your ass off. We have a Patreon, which you can join for access to bonus content every month. You can become a patron, and we will never kick you out of our gang, patrons, at patreon.com/frontline5th. And you can check out our sick-ass merch at our Redbubble store, linked in the show notes. Finally, if you have any fun theories you'd like to share with us, feel free to email us at frontline5th@gmail.com. And with that, I'll just remind you not to unlock any tombs or enter any doors without permission because, ghosts. Bye!
Frontline 5th is a locked tomb podcast conceived by Mariana Mako and starring Mariana Mako, Hannah Grenwald, Brooke Anderson, and John Ryan. Our cover art was designed and created by Mariana Mako, who also edited this episode. Our fabulous music was composed and recorded by Blake Anderson. Sonia Grenwald designs our killer merch. Hot! Gorgeous! The Locked Tomb series is a completely dope-ass book series by Tamsin Muir, who does not know we exist and is in no way affiliated with this podcast.